Welcome to Tech Tuesday, month of October, 10 Tuesday. but while I'm doing good, I gotta wait for my other co-host, and unfortunately, one of my co-hosts is not gonna be tuned in tonight. He has some business to do, so just be the two, and I got a very special guest coming in. So. How's everyone day going? How's everyone this wonderful Tuesday? Alright, got
Hey, you can hear
in
me?
here.
What's
Yeah,
good? What's
here
good?
you
All
are.
right, guys. At least I made it on time. Yeah, I made it on time, but I'm kind of a little bit late. But what's good, everybody? How y'all feeling today? Welcome to Tech Tuesdays, man. Welcome to Tech Tuesdays.
How you doing?
How you feeling? I'm doing awesome,
I'm
honestly.
feeling good.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. I can't wait to get this started. And we got some people in here, man. Before we like to
Yeah.
get, yeah, man, it's
Go ahead.
us. Honestly. I was ready to say, no, for everybody in the comments, like rate how your day is like from like a scale from 1 to 10 right now. Just to actually get y'all started, energized for today and things of that nature.
Uh, how you doing, Donovan?
Let me see what they say.
3, why 3? You need to raise
Why?
that to more like a 7.
I'm on a 10 right
Sheesh.
now.
I've never. What's up, man? Come on, well, we here to brighten your day, knock you in the head with some knowledge, So,
Man, I heard Jimmy say, I hope y'all not dry. I hope she said, "Oh, I hope this not dry. We never dry. Trust me. We got them a day."
Yeah, today not one of them days. So I feel you just gotta pick your head up because tomorrow gonna be a battle.
We most definitely gonna
But
get you right out today, reality. Trust me. That's what we here for. And you want to learn something new within the session as well. Like we want to bring the best energy and our best effort within this today session. Y'all like show you something new. Look, listen.
we got
You
this.
have.
You just wait. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna put you deal with some knowledge. I'm gonna kick you some real knowledge. I ain't gonna kick my knowledge to the end. You feel me? But I'm definitely gonna have somebody kick you some knowledge. I mean, might turn you're going to be into a bright sunny day.
Shoot,
So I
want
to know how everybody day because I ain't only got 2 responses.
I see, yeah, a Cedar. I hope I pronounced your name right. She said she have a 6.6. That's cool. And I guess supposed to come in 2 minutes, right?
Right here. Yeah. All right, bring them in.
All right, let's bring them in. Let's go.
Here we go. Our guest of the month.
Yes.
So, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing out there?
I'm doing great. I'm having a great day.
All right. So I was asked to speak by my niece Simone that you guys want me to actually drop some knowledge on based on my experience in the tech industry. So I'm going to bore you with the boring stuff. I'm just going to keep it simple.
Gotcha.
They've turned down the volume here so I don't echo. All right. So, first and foremost, my name is Lyle Brathwaite. I am the owner and CEO of Continent Services in the Caribbean, United States Virgin Islands. For those who don't know, it's made up of 3 islands: St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John. Been doing it for over 30 years, and I absolutely love it. And yeah, that's basically what I do. But as far as how I got into it, keep it simple and keep it real. I played video games all day. I'm just going to flat out say it. I am a gamer. And when I was about 9 years old, I got my hands on my first computer from my mom's, and I was so immersed in just the entire world. I played games that seem simple now, like anybody could just touch it, but trust me, unless you got the reflexes, you ain't going nowhere. But I started with playing these games, and it just got me asking myself, how did they do this? How did they make this program do these things that make me want to play it? And I ended up opening the machine, not knowing that that's not how you do it. But I took a screwdriver to it and popped some chips out of it, pulled the CPU out, pulled the RAM out. I was just like, what is all of this stuff? And of course, when trying to put it back together, it stopped working because I ended up pulling out some chips that didn't need to be removed. So, word of advice for anybody who wants to play with computers: make sure it doesn't cost over $5,000, because that's a butt whooping waiting to happen. And my mom was basically on me until I actually figured out how to fix it. But with that said, I was just so into that I was like, I gotta know more about this stuff. I gotta figure out how does this work? And I'm lucky that about down the street from where I live, there was this computer store run by this old man, Alex, and God bless him. He saw this little kid, nappy hair. Yes, my hair was nappy hair kid with some ripped up shoes and short pants, walking in asking about what's a computer and how does it work. And instead of turning me away because I'm not making him any money, he actually said, you know what, come to the back. And he showed me all these components and all of these screens and monitors. And I was just like, I was in heaven. I got to play with stuff that I'd never seen before. And he had one of his techs actually answer questions for me while they were taking care of cases. As long as I didn't touch customer stuff that was being worked on, it was all good. And from that, I got to play around with it. And it was like, I didn't even need to go play basketball anymore. I didn't even need to go play soccer. I didn't even play tennis. I found what I wanted to do. And every day I walked into that store, I had a smile on my face. And he even told me that then it's like every time I walked in, I'm always smiling. And he couldn't figure it out at the time, but he was like, you must really, really enjoy this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, man, this stuff is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like. I was a little kid in a candy store, straight up. So after that, I went ahead and going through school, just doing my thing. They didn't have any computer programs at the time. They had just basically learn your basics, math, science, a couple of advanced placement classes for computers, but they had nothing for me. So what I ended up doing was actually going after school to those labs and talking to the professors and the teachers there. And they answered a lot of questions. I had no idea what Microsoft Word or MS-DOS was at the time. It was just so foreign to me. I didn't know what an operating system was. All I know is that you could put something called a file that's actually something digital on a disk. And the disk can be in 2 or 3 different sizes. It can be a 5 1/4 to a 3.5 inch, 1 megabyte, which is amazingly large for the time. I know we in gigabits now. Y'all don't have to remind me of my age now. And I was so amazed with this whole new thing. Now there's something called an operating system to go with all this hardware. So that's how it works. Got to play with that for a few months, a few years, till I got to high school and they finally let me into the computer lab. And because I'd known the professor already, he let me in and sat me down at a desk in front of a computer. My thinking was, okay, this computer is where I'll start learning. So I go ahead and try to turn the thing on, but nothing's happening. It's not turning on. It's not moving. I hold down the power button, trying to figure out why is it not turning on. I hear behind me at the time, my entire class of 20 students all screaming and like somebody had actually just started a fight or something in the class. I turn around and everybody else's screen turned blank. And I know they were working on some stuff and they were doing, I was like, what happened? All I did was press this button. The teacher put me in front of the server that was controlling all those workstations. And in doing so and playing around and shutting it down, I kicked everybody else out. And files were lost, homework assignments were missing. It was not a good day at all. I had no idea what this thing was and why this one computer controlled all. He taught me about networks from that. He said, this computer is called a server. This server, it holds files. Everybody is trying to connect to this server so they can work on their file. I had never heard this language before. This was like the whole new world to me. And that's how I learned about networking, just from making the mistake, and I've made many, but making the mistake of powering off and on the server in a class. I went to college looking to continue this education of mine in computers and networks, but the school I went to didn't have anything. They had programming languages like A+, Net+, C+, web page design. And this is like first generation yahoo.com kind of thing. So the web page design was very simple. You just had to know certain codes like /B and /H and /HTML to tell them that it's going to be a web page you design. Programming came up in that point, and I was so out of my league with. I was so more comfortable putting the components in my hands and working on them than sitting in front of a keyboard and actually doing the coding. I tried. Don't get me wrong. I had my successes. I've had dozens and dozens of failures, but I've had one or two times that everything went through, and so I realized that programming wasn't my way. I needed to put my hands on it. They didn't have a program at the time, so I ended up leaving. None of the schools nearby, none of the colleges nearby had a computer hardware program. So what I ended up doing was going to the military. Went to the Air Force. Yeah, that ended quick too after I blew out my knees, but that's another story. Came home, ended up working at the local Radio Shack. Before that, I worked at an ISP, an internet service provider, where I was just doing tech support calls over the phone. That was comfortable. But when I got to the Radio Shack, where I actually got to fix people's computers and stuff, that's when the boss at the time saw me and was like, you know what? No, you don't belong here. You're too good for this. He made a phone call to a friend of his who was actually giving out exams. He called my parents and told them that, yeah, he don't belong here. I'm calling some friends of mine in Atlanta, and he gonna go to college and go to a program degree from DeVry. I know a guy, I could get him in. I try it. I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. Worst case, I'd come back home and I'm back at a Radio Shack working the rest of my days. Glad I didn't do that because they ended up shutting down a couple of years later. But I took the test and it turns out, yeah, I have the aptitude to actually do computer design, computer repair, network setup. So I went to DeVry in Atlanta, Georgia, 1998, and was there until 2002. And got my degree in telecommunications management with a focus on help desk and computer design. It's a whole new industry around this time. Stuff that you're so comfortable with now, like Wi-Fi, was just coming out. It wasn't even a concept around this time. They were just now getting into the idea of it. After that, finished, got my degree, everything went well, came home, and I realized I could do more. I got all this knowledge, but I don't want to work for anybody. I could go back and try and work for Alex, the guy who gave me my first shot. In fact, I tried. He told me he didn't have any spots for me, but if anything came up, he let me know. I ain't heard from him since then. All good. Then I got a phone call. Somebody needed help with their computer, and they didn't want to go to Alex. They didn't want to go to any of the shops. They asked me to look at it. I said, all right, cool. Went ahead, looked at it, fixed it. They handed me money. I'm like, what's this? You did work. So, I mean, yeah, I did work. I fixed a computer, but I do it all the time. It's no big deal. They're like, nah, you should be paid for your time. You should be paid for your work. I'm like, wait, I could get paid for this? And lo and behold, I decided then and there, okay, I'm going to open a simple shop. And in opening that shop, I just do computer repair day in, day out, and calls were coming in fast. And I ended up saying, okay, I need more people. If I can't handle all this alone, but there was nobody else I knew. And it just got so many cases, but I loved it so much because I got to play with these toys. To me, they were toys, and get to put my hands on the technology of the future. I already saw this as the future. I just knew that this is where I was going to be. I say all that to say this. All the mistakes I've made, and I've made many, there was a lesson. And there was an important lesson that I took forward. And I had to take forward so I can get better and it wouldn't happen again. Gaming is how I got in because I loved gaming. From the simple stuff like the Pac-Mans of the world, from the Atari 2600s, all the way up to now where I try and play Fortnite. I suck at it, so I tell anybody who plays it they can go away, to Warzone and to a lot of, well, Call of Duty in general, Halo and Gears of War, all of that. I loved it. I enjoyed all of it. So if you got the time and if it gets to you to the point where you're smiling about it and you feeling it in your heart, you know right then and there. I'm telling you from experience, you know exactly what you want to do. You're going to feel it. And if you love it, I assure you, you will never leave it. And I've been doing this for 30 years and I haven't left it yet. So something must be going right. Anyhow, that's enough. I've been talking for about 12, 13 minutes now. Y'all heard enough of my mouth. Thank you all for having me. And if you have any questions, I'm here to listen. Thanks for your time.
I didn't want to cut you off, but I was asking because you turn your camera on.
I could if I could find the dang button.
I'm pretty sure I know I got some questions. I know the chat, everyone here is gonna have some questions. We got a nice little time to go. But I definitely feel what you're saying.
I have my security settings blocking the camera right now, so I need to actually enable it. No worries. It'll take a second.
But definitely is what you said, because only doing something and it makes you happy while doing it. It's definitely a chance you should stick to it.
True. That's the truth. Yeah.
And I got a question, but when was there a time that you failed within the field of computer technology?
Oh,
and
where do I start?
And how did you overcome it?
I have one of my best. Well, I can't really. Well, yeah, one of my biggest failures at the time is when I first got my very first large business related client. And they were looking for somebody to set up their computer systems from the ground up. I mean, set up the foundations. And one thing that I had never done before that was actually do estimates or to do meetings with customers so they'll know what they're asking me to get them. All I knew is what was broken, how much it cost to replace it, and how to fix it. So my knowledge at that time was very limited. I asked questions to somebody who's been there before, and that happened to be Alex. And he's the one who actually tried pointing me in the direction for this particular client. And it still didn't work out too well because it wasn't a concept I understood. So when the time came for the meeting, the customer was asking me for what they needed. I brought just printouts that I had printed in a lab maybe about an hour before the meeting, and was bringing it to them and giving them that this is what I can put here and this is what the price of it would be. I wasn't too confident when I walked in there either when I gave them the stuff, but they said, all right, let's see it go through. They gave me a down payment, largest down payment, and said, all right, go ahead and get it built. It took me 3 weeks to get the first computer installed. And then after that, nothing else worked. The server was shutting down because there wasn't enough power on the battery, because there were power outages on the everything just absolutely fell apart. I ended up almost getting sued with the customer saying that they want me to take all this stuff back. They don't want to see me anymore. It was scary going through that. And it wasn't until I looked inward and I realized I tried going in without knowing. And you cannot expect to survive in technology if you don't know. How I overcame it was by accepting the failure as it was, which was a straight up failure. But I did not leave it to be the end. And that's the important part. If you leave it and say, okay, it's over, I failed, and goodbye, you take away no lessons. The response should be, okay, I failed, why? Once you figure out the why, start asking questions. Start looking for the person in that field who can answer those questions. We didn't have Google at the time, so I couldn't look it up, and I had to basically look through phone books and ask around my community for help. But with the internet the way it is now, you can find answers to almost anything. So
Yes, you can.
now, in these times now, the answer to your question is, how do you deal with it? You look it up. You find out what failed, you research why. And I promise you, when you figure that out, it's all going to fall into place. If you love it enough, if it turns out to be something that you're not comfortable with, you will feel it with these failures. But it just takes you to be patient with yourself and understand anything and everyone fails, but it's those who actually ask why and who do who actually succeed in the end. So that's my answer to that.
That was definitely. I like that. Diane, you got any questions? Because I got questions.
I do have questions too, but I just want to, I remember when you was talking about, you was doing computer repairs. Myself, I do phone repairs. I never done a computer repair. I mean, I repaired my PS3 before. I know what like a CPU would look like or the Arduino. You
Mhm.
know, basically like a motherboard, but it have many outlets to the Arduino board and things of that nature. But
Mhm.
I used to like I don't work on it. I don't work on phones now like I usually do.
Mhm.
I'm willing to get back into it and stuff like that. And that's was my like my small business right there. But I
Mhm.
always used to actually like fix people's phones and make sure it's repaired all the way, charge a reasonable price and things of that nature. Not I don't want to say things of that nature, but it was other things to it as well. So I'm familiar when it comes to computer repair, but I'm
Right.
versatile with it. So I know how to fix consoles and phones. Now
Mhm.
I gotta get in the computer repair.
Mhm.
It seems easy to me because I used to replace stuff and I do the same thing with technology. But
Mhm.
I had a question. And my question was like,
Like
who helped or what mentors did you have within the field of computers and technology?
excellent question. Excellent question. At the time, because the technology was so new, there were people out there, but you had to go out and find them. It wasn't like you could find, like in my community where I am, at the time, there was only one computer store. It was Computer Solutions, still open to this day, still run by Alex. That was my only source of knowledge at that time. Um, the gentleman, Jerry Smith from Radio Shack, he was the manager at Radio Shack. That's another mentor that I had. But I can only mention him because after Radio Shack, he actually ended up going to further stuff that I was interested in, and I hung a lot with him and listening to what he was saying. Finding a mentor was simple for me simply because he was within my community and I could put my thing, and he was right there. Nowadays, there's almost like if you throw a rock, you hit 1,000 people who are in the same field. So the question then becomes, how do you know who to go to? So, to answer your question, I will give you this question itself. What do you seek? Sounds corny, I know, but I say that to say, what knowledge has such a hold on your interest and that you're willing to put your time into? And once you can answer that, what interests you the most? The next question will be, okay, who's the best at it? Who's the one who has the reviews over 100 reviews of failures and successes? Who's the one who's been around for more than maybe 1 or 2 years? Who's been around for 10 to 15 years? Who's who's recognized in your community? Who's infamous in your community? Because believe it or not, even those who are infamous can teach you something. They can teach you how not to do things, but they can also teach you the secrets to getting things done. All of this is knowledge, but it all starts with answering the question, what do you seek? So if you can so that's probably the best way for me to answer that question for you, is knowing what you're seeking, what avenue you wish to take. That's the best I got.
Okay, that's nice. So I think he answered that. But have you ever broken the computer? Is somebody in the question? Oh, that's in the chat. Anybody in the chat?
Yes.
Have you ever broken the computer? But so you've been doing this for a little while now, and I was wondering, what are some important things we should know about starting a business in the field of computers and technology? For a little insight on people that want to start like a business and start moving.
That is an excellent question. First, before I answer that, I want to answer the person who said, have you ever had a broken computer? My very first computer that I built from scratch, from all the parts that Alex put my hands on, was my first broken computer, because it was actually just a case. And the motherboard and everything I had to find and put together myself. And it didn't work for about the first 3 months I had it, but eventually I got it. With that aside,
you started from scratch. Wow.
Yeah. Like I said, Alex gave me access to a lot of those toys that I never even knew were about.
And I just broke my computer. I gotta get it fixed.
Okay, but to answer your question, how do you get started in starting your own business? First thing I learned was that I was not the only one. And you will learn that quickly, that there are others in the field. So make sure that when you're starting it, you understand what you have as far as your skills, what you can offer as far as your skills. And this is going to sound a little harsh, but be willing to tell your competition to go to hell. And I mean that with all respect. I'm not trying to bring out curse words. I told my niece I wouldn't curse, so I'm not going to curse. But you have to be cutthroat, because you want that business that almost you can guarantee about 50% of your peers are already in, but you have to kind of stand out. For me, standing out, it was my ability to listen. So if somebody had an issue and it turned out that that issue was also personal, and they ended up trying to throw that in there at the same time, all I could do was sit there, shut the mouth, and listen. Once they said what was wrong with what I came there to do, I addressed it. I didn't try and rush them to speak quickly. In doing so, people heard about me being the person that they can call and ask any question. And that's how my niche started. You have a problem and you need a solution and you don't know where to start, call Lyle. CompNet Services, how can I help you today? That's actually my slogan. CompNet Services, how can I help you today? So you have to have a niche. You have to be willing to be cutthroat with your competition. Know your worth, especially when it comes to setting your prices. Not a lot of people understand how to set their fees. They just basically throw out numbers randomly, hoping that the customer won't know what they're worth. There are a lot of online resources nowadays that give you an idea, based on your particular skills, what you're worth. For me, starting out, because there was nothing at the time that matched or was limited, I basically said, how much does it cost to fill my tank? I say that again. How much does it cost to fill my gas tank? That was my first question. And it turned out that to fill my vehicle at the time, it only cost about $39 to $40. So I said, all right, $40 an hour is where I'm starting. I'm now up to $115. I don't need to put $115 in my gas tank, but that's basically how I started. So just answering those three simple things: know your worth, be cutthroat, and just understand your skill set. Do that, and the rest will fall in place. But only if you pay attention to it, because it can easily switch on you, and somebody can end up doing it better. So just remember, know what you can do, and don't be
Mhm.
afraid to do it. You have what it takes. I promise you, everything you need is out there. Just put your hands on it.
So, eh, the that's I definitely love that because that definitely gave me some insight on some things. So, and I want to answer the question in the chat. Bless you, but usually if your computer is like, if you click on something and it talks, it's usually your accessibility settings turn on your I guess your click to speech, but it's like to help people with hearing problems, to help them click and hear what they're clicking on. Just to let you know. So you can go in your settings and go to accessibility if that's happening with your computer. You can go to that and go in there and search. You can find how to turn that off. I don't know the buttons on hand, the keys to actually turn it off on the computer. I don't know on hand, but it is a certain combination of keys to turn that off and to turn it on.
Mm. It is a setting. It is in settings. If you have Windows 10, you can actually go to the gear in settings and just type in accessibility, and it should pop up as the top option. You select that, and you can disable or enable it. That's in Windows 10. If you have a Windows 11, which just recently came out, it's similar to that, but that's a good starting point. Anything before that, 7 or 8, it's actually holding down the control, and I think I want to say the space bar key that actually starts it up. But it's also, again, in the settings and control panel in 7 and 8 to actually disable it. Just look for accessibility, like you said.
Yeah. So it may, like, if that's happening, you might have just mistakenly hit that combination of keys, because I do it
Mhm.
all the time. You might
Mhm.
mistakenly hit that combination of keys and it tells it to turn that on, and then you just sitting there and don't know what's going on. But that's that's a common error, especially when like you slip and push your whole hand on the keyboard.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But anybody have any more questions? Because before I go ahead and round off a couple more.
Yeah, I have a question. So, I was so so. What has been the biggest lesson you learned within the field of computers and technology?
Excellent. Excellent question. Um, I'm not going to make a full story out of it. I'm just going to break it down. The the harshest reality you learn, and the biggest lesson that I learned, was what I mentioned earlier: is that you're not alone in this field. Others can take your spot, and the
Mm-hmm.
minute you lose your spot, your worth goes from, could be worth $2 million a year down to 100, down to 50, down to 30, down to you on welfare. And
Mm.
it's all because of simple, it could be something as simple as you didn't call somebody back. You said you'd call them back, but you never responded. It could be something like you do a repair, or you're doing a repair, and because you're not careful, you do more damage and end up having to cost more money. So the harsh reality is, in the computer field, because it's always changing and there's so many people that are in it now, your mistakes will cost, can, and in many cases will cost you millions of dollars. That's on the table. So make sure that when you're doing this type of work, whether it is programming, whether it is computer and hardware, whether it is network setup, the details matter, the small details, the paying attention to avoid electrostatic discharge while you're working on the motherboard, to, so you don't, make sure you have your grounding straps in place. You're writing code, but you leave out certain commands that actually supposed to end the program, and they end up going online and becoming a virus. Things like that. It's the details that matter. It's the small things, but that only honestly, that lesson only comes from experience. It comes from actually failing. That's when it really hits you the most. My parents, and I think my sister is in here too. I see you. Hey, Sandra. Um, she'll tell you that the one thing we learn as kids is that when we make mistakes, we had to learn hard that that was a mistake and you don't do it again. When you get older, when you're an adult and you make these mistakes, there's nobody to actually tell you, okay, you what the heck you doing? This way, there's none of that. You make the mistake, you pay for it, and whether or not you learn from it or you leave it, that kind of tells you where you will be, whether you'll be called again or whether you'll be ignored, whether you'll be the first option or you'll be the last four. So the harshest reality and the most important thing that I've learned is that the details matter because anyone can be replaced.
That's facts. For real. Mm. But
I hope
I got
that.
yeah, I got another question. Um, what experience did you gain from starting a business in this field?
Mm. My biggest thing at the time when I first started was just being the guy that took the computer, go to the back room, fix it, bring it to the front, and then have somebody collect the money. And that to me at the time was easy. That means that I get to do this, I get paid, I go home, and I'm back on my Xbox, I'm back on my PS1, PS2, PS3. I've had them all, by the way. So, yeah. So it was that, but when you have your own business, where you are the face of the company and you have to interact with people, that is when you truly learn whether you're built for it or not. Because the customer is more than just a paycheck for you when you go home. They're the ones who tell others. They become your viral video. So that was like the most important lesson I've learned in opening a business is that not only do I do the repairs right, but customer service is vital to my survival. The customer has to know that I got their back no matter what. So there you go.
Yeah, that was and piggyback on what you said you have all of them. When you accomplish your dream,
Yes.
you get everything that started the dream.
That is true. That is very true. That is facts. It took
because
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just saying because when you said that, it made me click. Like, because as I'm doing this, I'm getting everything that started to nudge me in this direction. As far as the games I used to play, like it's just like everything, like old habits coming back around. Like it's just very surreal.
And do you come home with a smile on your face?
I don't leave my house, so it's always there.
That is the feeling, though. When you know when you know it, the smile will never leave you, and that is like the most important lesson that I've learned is just how much you love.
Yes.
And it does for a lot of folks. I get it. It doesn't have to be computer repair. It doesn't have to be programming. But I trust and believe this: when you find it, it won't even feel like a job anymore. You just got a smile on your face, almost like everything is in place.
Yeah, definitely. Just keep pushing. You gonna get there. Because right now, I wouldn't even thought that I'd be doing this. Like I always thought that I'd be doing something similar, like going to work doing this. But I never thought this would have me sitting in my home. Like I would have never thought. Like I always wanted that to be an option. And now I got my foot in the door to sit in the house and play games and get paid all day. Like that's my next direction.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, getting paid to play games. I wish I can do that. I mean,
It's
I
possible.
got
You can.
yeah, I feel like I can, but it's like I gotta find the right time to do it. I like playing the PS5. I like playing.
Okay, the flex wasn't necessary. I'm just saying, you ain't gotta show it that off. Like,
I'm oh man. Yeah, but yeah, I like playing my game system. Like you said, we got a PS3, PS4. I had all the PlayStations from PlayStation Vita, PSP, PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5. I had it from the beginning all the way up. So it's like I've been on PlayStation for the longest.
well, like I said, man, it's not like I'm telling you that it's you. This is something that you can do that back in the day you probably couldn't. Well, you couldn't touch as far as making a monetary benefit, but now, shoot, with all the avenues that are open now, it's like, man, I was born 30 years too early. No, I'm just kidding. But
Right.
it's just there's so many options out there, and if, like I said, if it brings a smile to your face, if you enjoy it that much, you will find a way to monetize it. And when you do, you will know it, and you will know it feels right.
I got another question. We got a little less than 20 minutes left, so do you know any computers and technology resources that people can get involved with, participate in live today?
Well, this is the beauty of social media. For one, it does depend on what you feel. For me, it began in school. Well, before school, I had somebody in my community who was in something I was curious about, and I just simply knocked on the door and asked for their time. And believe it or not, a lot of us, because I'm up there in age, so a lot of us old folks, we want people to knock on our door and ask us to what we're doing and how we do it. So it does depend on the community. Yeah, were they scratching a record or something? It does depend on the community you're in that you actually can knock on the door on a field that caught your eye or caught your interest, because that is where you will get the answer to whether this is what you want to do or not. It's how do I say? We, the older generation, want to prepare the new generation to lead the next generation. I guess that's the best way I could put it. So if you've got some question or some type of curiosity that just wants you to go in a direction, I would say look to your community first. Look around and who's in it and who's touched it or who's involved. And that's probably the best place to start before you're worrying about going online. Stay local before you go worldwide. Try local first, because that's where I started. At least it works for me. If you cannot find a local person, that's the beauty of social media. That's the beauty of Facebook groups. That's the beauty of Twitter. That's the beauty of like Instagram and TikTok now, because a lot of these technology fields is represented in groups on Facebook that you can actually join, and they can actually help point you in a direction as well. Um, CompTIA is a company that does the certifications for a lot of technology partners out there, from the A plus to the Network plus to the Security plus to some of the deeper fundamentals. Um, CompTIA.org, CompTIA.org. Um, so social media, CompTIA.org, at least for my field, that's probably, and your local community, those three, that's where I would say you should probably start.
Okay.
And
Definitely.
am I breaking up? So what I was ready to say was you can use the resources he just brought out too. And if you planning if you like a freshman or sophomore, or if you plan to transfer to high schools, and if you're trying to do computer repairs, Edmondson is the place. Maryville has it too because both of them is trade schools. So you can come to one of those high schools, and they can give it to you for free as well doing the trade. So yeah. So I will actually give up my resources as well. If you plan to transfer to Edmondson or Maryville, but I'll be at Edmondson. So if you come to Edmondson, you'll see me.
I like it. I like it.
So I gotta ask a question. Um, I don't know if it was this. I don't know if this was asked already, but how long have you been in the field? Had that been asked?
30 years.
30 years? 3 decades? Oh my god.
Yeah, and you can imagine the amount of stuff that I see now that back then was just a dream. Smartphones now compared to the briefcase phones from my Radio Shack days. I mean, yes. The Motorola StarTAC flip phone was the hottest joint in the day. Oh my god! And before that, the Nokias and yes, the Nokias
Mr.
were
Indestructible. Yeah,
They
Mr. Indestructible.
were bulletproof. There's no doubt because a couple of my crew got lucky because of them. But oh my god,
I had one for like 15 years. And like,
yes. And it's still working. You're looking at today, I bet you.
Mm-hmm. It's in my art house in the attic.
I will say this though: if you have technology, hang on to it because who knows? In the next 20 to 30 years, who knows where it might be? Because that, if it turns out to be your only way for communication, or because it's the last one, you end up worth like 20 or 30 grand for just having it. Who knows?
Yep.
But you gotta. But that's just the way the time goes. That's just time.
Definitely. And I mean, we got only a little over 10 minutes left in the session. So I want to ask the chat, is there any questions y'all have for our special guest from way over there?
I do see here somebody was asking if I could actually do a computer repair on stream. And
would it be interesting if you guys was doing? Oh, you said what again? I'm so sorry to cut you off.
No, I was reading the question about it would be interesting if you guys were doing a computer repair. And I'm looking around now, and I got. Let me see. I got an Xbox here that I just need to change the drive for. Not the Xbox Series X or the newer ones. No, this is an original Xbox 360.
Oh, I thought you meant the Xbox. I was going to say.
That one I just already fixed. It's actually here waiting for the person to pick it up. I got a PS2 here I'm waiting for parts for. I got 2 tablets. 2 Samsung tablets that need batteries waiting for those to come in. I got an Alexa show with a broken screen. The Echo show with a broken screen waiting for that to come in. I kind of had the repairs like before 10 a.m. today, so I ain't really got anything I could fix now.
Okay, so I got a question. Could you direct someone on how to a computer screen, like without even being there? Direct someone like step by step to fix laptop.
Okay, so you're talking about a computer screen for a laptop or for a tablet?
A laptop.
Laptop. Now, because the Dell, HPs, Toshibas of the world have different manufacturers that provide their screens, it could be a matter of if it's a broken screen, you replace it, or the cable is connected, and therefore you got to replace the entire cable, which those are really cheap.
Let me tell you what's going on. I don't mean to throw my personal problem in here, but this is the one chance I got right now. I forgot before, but I dropped my phone on my MacBook, and now it's like dent crack like a rock went through a windshield. And my digitizer is like, I can't see anything. I just want to replace the screen. Could you direct me to do that if I get a screen?
I can actually point, depending on the. You said it's an iPhone or is it a MacBook?
It's Mac Air.
Okay, it's a MacBook Air. Yes, I can actually. Assuming that you have the screen.
I don't have it yet because I wanted to see if I could get somebody to fix it or somebody to help me fix it before I actually go get it fixed.
I will tell you this: is it still under warranty?
I don't know. I had it for about 2 to 3 years now. I don't know.
Usually, manufacturers' warranties are about a year. Now,
Right.
Mac might be a little different. They've had special circumstances for 2 to 3 off the jump, depending on how much the customer spent on their stuff. But if it is out of warranty and you're trying to do it yourself, you can call someone. You have my information. Call me, email me. We'll set it. We'll do something.
Yeah.
Or
I was just making sure I could get all that in motion.
right. There is a website that actually walks you through the step by step, but it does depend on how comfortable you are with toolkits. And honestly, you can do it if you really want to do it. You can do it yourself, and it's actually called iFixit. They're the ones who sell the toolkits.
Okay.
So if you go to ifixit.com and you look up your particular Mac, and it will point you to where you can actually do the repair yourself. So that's a nugget. If you can't happen to get a hold of anybody, you can try that. If not, you have my information. Call me.
Yeah, but all y'all hear this. For those who need help, he just told you it's a lot of things you can do to fix your own products if you don't want, if you can't or don't want to take it to someone else.
Yeah, and that's exactly.
It always helps to ask.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yes, please ask questions because we want to know what we can do to help y'all grow. So if there's anything y'all want to know, please, I'm here.
And we had to come with the heat, you know. It's getting cold outside. You gotta stay warm.
Try to tell them.
But hey, you know, we got a couple minutes, and I'm gonna just start and see, like I just said, the screen is cheaper to buy the screen than pay for someone to fix it. From what I've learned,
yes. The answer is yes to that question. Absolutely.
Yeah, I have purchased multiple screens for iPhones. I know my cousin knows how to fix them, so I take them to him instead of to someone else that I just wouldn't trust me. So I take I buy the screen. He has the kit from iFixit, and he fixes my phones. So that's how I do that. It's just my computer screen. He's not really too comfortable with doing that.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know when somebody really loves what they do, they'll look at that case and say, "Oh, I got this. Let's go." Or they'll actually say, "That's it. And trust me, customers know this.
And that's what he did. Because I asked him to do it. He was like, "Well, I got that iPhone. Yeah, I got it." And he came up here and he fixed it, like right there on the spot.
Right.
And I was looking for someone to fix my phone, and here he is sitting right next to me.
Wow.
But it's getting that time, so we gotta come around, drop a jewel.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Go ahead.
So this is actually for everybody, chat included. Where do you see technology in the next 20 years?
Oh, whoa. Woo.
Yeah.
Next time?
Yeah, I said it.
I see fully immersive virtual simulations.
Okay.
Within the next 10 years.
Oh.
20? I get the next 20 years, it's going to be the most efficient because I believe everything is going to be solar power or electronic within the next 20 years.
All right, all right, all right. Mr. Adams, what about you, man?
What I see in the next 3 to 10 years, I ain't rely the next 10 years. I don't know. You know what I'm thinking?
Hmm.
You know how we have the life. Like the grass and things like that. And God, you know how people be trying to take care of their food. What if gardens in the next 10 years is controlled by artificial intelligence instead of us doing the work? The artificial intelligence can do the work, or you know, we can actually. I would think this, or machines can actually give us an actual, not an actual life, but help us reduce the chance of dying
Hmm. Hmm.
instead
Interesting.
of
Yeah.
putting medicine in our body and it messes us up. So if we use the technology that actually find just to actually make a way of ma- get reducing the chance of us dying, that would be interesting.
I
But
hear you.
some to piggyback on that, some greenhouses are manned by a machine.
Mm-hmm.
So some plants are actually grown by a machine instead of man.
Mm-hmm.
And we got about 4 minutes left, and we got to drop these jewels. And I'm gonna hit y'all first. So even though you take a loss, every loss is not a loss; it's a lesson. Because you never actually lose because you're gaining experience from it. So never count your loss as a loss, count it as a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
That way you take no losses ever. And you only win out of every situation.
All right, all right.
Naeem?
Let's see. From me to y'all, because what you said was true. That those errors and those mistakes are lessons that make you better. That's all well, but and that's the facts. My jewel will simply be this: that when you love it, you will never leave it, and that is especially true when it comes to technology. If you love it, and you know when you love it, you'll never leave it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Definitely.
So
It's taking me back. I remember them days. PlayStation. Sega, Atari. Whew.
I would also, I don't know if you guys will allow me this, but I would also like to issue a challenge to all of you who are here and who are those who are available. See, my generation, we had a tendency of taking from our environment. That's what we did to survive. We took. I'm asking the next generation to give and take, to learn how to share it.
Mhm.
Because this planet we call Earth, this home that we will only know through it our entire lives, unless you all traveling to Mars at some point. I see that in 2070 something, but don't worry. But for now, I ask you all, with the technology that is available to the with the technology that's coming, I ask for you guys, I challenge you all to give and take. So that's my
That,
challenge to all of
Naeem, you want to drop your jewel? We got like a minute left.
oh,
Hit
dang,
a
I
minute
just made myself.
word.
Um, my
Yeah.
jewel would be I don't want. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. You know, I would say is always stick with the flow. You never always want to get off track. It's like when you got a beat going and you think it's trash, but it's going along with your, you how you feeling and sensation. Like you always want to keep that beat flowing, keep up with the flow because the flow will never fail on you. You make the flow. So why you want to fail on you? So always keep up with the flow. And that ties in with real life situations. If you're doing good in school within your grades and you got all A's, keep that up in the same flow. If you can't, it's okay. Cause we all not robots. We all not perfect. But we can do excellent. Like my school quote. Mind you, I go to Evanston West High School. So I'm gonna say this: excellence demands sacrifice. Simple.
Mm,
Mhm.
mm, mm.
Def- Definitely. So,
Boy.
on that note, that wraps up Out Tech Tuesday. If you were interested in learning more, you can hit me up on datatrail.org or you can hit me up on Instagram, on Facebook at datatrail. So, see y'all. We had a good time. Make sure you come back next month, first Tuesday of the month, 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. We'll be here to drop knowledge. I told you I had some knowledge in store for you. Try to pull my card. But that wraps up us. Have a good night. Thank you to our wonderful guests.
Anytime. Be more than happy to come back if you need me.
Glad you said so. Enjoy your
Peace
night.
out, y'all. Take care.